we it's a fact that God is in fact everywhere. But we are in the tunnel vision, and we have misidentified reality, and we think things are separate from it. Okay, there's the matter over here. There's my relationships I like over here. There's the wealth I like over here. This, that, and the other, and these are all emanations of God. We should understand everything is but an energy in some capacity of God. So this section of the Bhagavatam is telling us that we need to kind of cut our attachments to family and worldly life, to sit down, to meditate, and chant the holy mantra Om, the sacred mantra Om, unless you have been given a higher mantra by your guru, which we have been. We've been given the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra here, and then also there's even other confidential mantras that can also be given, but actually many of them contain the holy mantra Om, and then we focus on meditating on the Lord. So, but it's not so easy for us to just meditate on the Lord. Actually, it's impossible with our own strength and understanding. So by the mercy of Guru, by the mercy of a sadhu, we can hear about the Lord and be able to meditate upon Him based on what we have heard and the techniques that are available. So, we're in the stage now where the yogic process, the meditative process is being described, where instead of externally trying to interact with the world around, is to go internal and to understand the foundation of the presence of the Lord within everything. So this is going to be the strategy here. So what did we read last? One should control the sitting posture, regulate the breathing process by the yogic pranayama, or the regulation of the breath, and control the mind and senses with intelligence, and apply the mind to the gross potencies of the Lord. So these are the potencies. Gross means that which is manifest, and that which can be perceived by our gross senses. So that which you can touch, that which you can smell, which you can taste, so matter. But these are also potencies of the Lord. So in the beginning, maybe you can't meditate and see Krishna dancing in Vrindavan with his flute and so many things like that. That's a very rare, confidential. It's like, only the husband and the wife should be able to see each other in their most intimate, presentation. It's not like, my wife is available for everyone to see, like, I would see in the confidential quarters of my bedroom or something like that. No, that's only an intimate, that's really for husband and wife. That's only for the husband, or simultaneously that's only for the wife to see. So similarly, if we want to see the Lord in His most intimate and most beautiful way, it's not only, only Radharani can see Him in such a way, in a certain way. Maybe there's some license for others to see too, but you're not going to be able to see the Lord in the most exquisite and incredible way, just being a Joe Schmo on the street. Oh, I did some meditation, so now the Lord's most intimate presentation now is for my vision. So it's not going to be like that. So what is going to happen here is that the Lord is going to teach us to gradually approach Him. And by approach Him through first focusing on that which you can perceive through your gross senses. We have been all given this body, and we've been given the illusion that we are this body, and that the things we experience through the body's senses are to us reality. So the Lord is going to meet us where we're at. And he's going to tell us, okay, this is what you can see and this is what you can do. Here's how you can shift that vision and perceive me. So this is what's going to be explained in the Bhagavatam. It's very valuable because we can't see the Lord, in our current state. And it's only like imagination, that we're, imagining, the Lord is up to our imagination. But the Lord is not contained within our imagination. He has his own legitimate form and he has his own legitimate personality, but he withholds that only to those who are, a worthy recipient. Jesus used to say, don't cast your pearls before swine. So like also you don't, if you have some wealth, you don't flash it out for everyone to see on the street. Oh, look at my wealth. It'll get taken from you that way. And if you have, if you have pearls, you don't, as Jesus said, cast them before swine. So similarly, the Lord himself is the most valuable thing. But he has the right to reserve himself only for those who can appreciate him. Why should he come to be, look what happens. He's someone like Jesus or Prabhupada, or just always mistreated by the ignorant fools. What does he say? Avaja nanti mam mudha manushim tanu mashritam param bhava majananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. He says the fools, they always deride me when I appear here in this human form. That's what the fools do. They always, they like to criticize others, and it's so bad that they actually criticize the person who has no faults at all. But to such a person, they can find faults everywhere. Which is why, criticism is a very bad habit. So, anyhow, we're going to learn how to see the Lord's Vishwarupa or Virat Rupa or universal form. Arjuna was granted this darshan in Bhagavad Gita. If you remember the 11th chapter, Arjuna was given this experience of being able to see that the Lord was everywhere, even in the opposing battle. Everything was just the Lord. So Krishna gave him a special vision to see, but now Shukadeva Goswami is going to try and give us a similar vision. And yes?
So should we aim to experience the Lord everywhere or see the Lord?
Yeah, you could have some intention for that, but it's up to the Lord, we cannot control him, Like Mother Yashoda aimed to bind Krishna, but everything she tried, she was just a little too short. Unless Krishna agrees to be bound by you, what can you do? How can you do it? So like this. So you can have every intention, and that's what sadhana bhakti is. When you're chanting, when you're singing for the Lord, when you're even cooking to the Lord, if it's in the heart so sincere, the Lord reserves the right to at some point be conquered by your efforts. But it's, he's not conquered by any ritual. He's not conquered by any amount of counting number of rounds that you've done, or how you used your time, how productive you were with doing bhakti things. No, he's just by the love in the heart. That's the only thing that can conquer him, the genuine love. But it's rare that such love even comes, So but if you have some intention or some desire, then you'll be gravitated to those who are sharing that love to some capacity, and you'll learn from them, and they will share their love with you, and that's what Guru is, and so on. So you can have every intention that you want to experience the Lord, but you may find that all of your efforts are 2 fingers too short. So if that's the case, you just keep trying, and then with more and more love and sincerity, and then eventually Krishna may be conquered. But it's not up to you. You could try. But Shukadeva Goswami is giving the gradual progression of the recommendations of the Lord on how to try. So this is very valuable. Before we begin, we'll do our Mangala Charana. And I'll share the screen here. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Asatya Deshatarine. Narangala Shalakara Shabana Supedi Swami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama my heart and my deep love and respects to Sri Guru and how Guru has appeared in my life in both Diksha and Shiksha form. The great teachers who are sharing with me this love, this bhakti, this spiritual potency that they've received from their gurus, which it's coming from Krishna, from God. So I want to offer them my deep respects and the entire parampara, or the entire lineage of gurus and saints who have been carrying this message of love from time immemorial. And the Lord has arranged that always His representative or His devotee is wandering the earth sharing this message of love. And if it somehow or other gets lost, then He Himself will personally come and reestablish this sacred message. And finally, I want to offer my obeisances to all of my spiritual brothers and sisters, and really to all of the Vaishnavas, maybe listening online, maybe past, present, and future, which actually contains every living entity. His destiny is to be Krishna Nityadas, the eternal servant of Krishna. So, my obeisances, Vanchakalpa Trivishcha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, we've been reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We've gotten to the point now where the Shukadev Goswami is instructing Maharaj Parikshit what to do when one is about to die. And get rid of your family life, get rid of your considerations, your material considerations, sit down. Even we should do this every day when we're practicing sadhana bhakti. I don't know if you guys have been, but these techniques and messages have been in my heart when I'm doing some chanting. So when I sit and chant, instead of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, and thinking about all the material things, I've been doing no. Like, let's get rid of this. Let's go inside. Let's focus and try to hear the mantra. Try to see the personalities the mantra is describing. It's not working that well, but there's some, I'm finding myself, instead of the mind just taking me and I'm on a ride of Hare Krishna, and the mind is taking me all over the universe of all the desires that I want. I'm trying to, no. Come on, let's go back, and pull ourselves back. So, that's what's being recommended here, to pull yourself out of the material world, to go inward and have an internal experience and focus on the Lord. And then it wants you to meditate on the gross forms of the gross potencies of the Lord, which you've already experienced in this world. Who here hasn't experienced the light of the sun, the vision of the moon, the taste of water, so on, So anyhow, all these things we'll be able to experience and we can meditate on. Let's begin. Visheshastasya dehoyam stavishtascha staviyasam yatredang vyajyate vishwang bhutang bhavyang bhavachchasa. Vishesha, personal. Tasya, his. Deha, body. Ayam, this. Stavishtaha, grossly material. Cha, and. Staviyasam, of all matter. Yatra, wherein. Idam, all these phenomena. Vyajyate, is experienced. Vishwam, universe. Bhutam, past. Bhavyam, future. Bhava, present. Cha, and. Sat, resultant. Okay. Translation. This gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the Absolute Truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced. So, purport. Now remember, we should understand this isn't the complete, after Krishna shows Arjuna this universal form, he then shows him the four-armed Narayan form, and then he again shows him the Krishna form, and he says, this is my most confidential form. And that what you're seeing is even better than anything else I've showed you already. And he made him realize that what you've already had is the best thing of all. But for those who are just maybe approaching God, this is for them. But in us, we're if we acknowledge that I'm very insignificant, I have no realization of God, this will be really helpful for us to build. But we can see the highest goal. We can intend on seeing Krishna in Vrindavan with his flute and with his gopis and so on. We can have that intention, but whether that gets revealed to us is up to Krishna. But this, we can actually, these facets of Krishna, he's already given us realization of. We've already experienced them. So it's valuable. So he says, this gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the Absolute Truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced. Purport. Anything either material or spiritual is but an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as stated in Bhagavad Gita 13:13, the omnipotent Lord has his transcendental eyes, heads, and other bodily parts distributed everywhere. Oh, sorry. He can see, hear, touch, or manifest himself anywhere and everywhere. For he is present everywhere as the supersoul of all infinitesimal souls. And although he has his particular abode in the absolute world, the relative world is also his phenomenal representation, because it is nothing but an expansion of his transcendental energy. Although he is in his abode, his energy is distributed everywhere, just as the sun is localized as well as expanded everywhere, since the rays of the sun, being non-different from the sun, are accepted as expansions of the sun disk. In the Vishnu Purana 122.52, it is said that as fire expands its rays and heat from one place, similarly, the Supreme Spirit, the Personality of Godhead, expands himself by his manifold energy everywhere and anywhere. The phenomenal manifestation of the gigantic universe is only a part of his Virat body, or it's like universal body. Less intelligent men cannot conceive of the transcendental all-spiritual form of the Lord, but they are astounded by his different energies. Just as the Aborigines are struck with wonder by the manifestation of lightning, a gigantic mountain, or a hugely expanded banyan tree. That's why, all the, Aboriginal cultures, so even the Native Americans and things, they all worship nature, because they were experiencing the, the divinity, or the wonder of these different material manifestations. So, the Aborigines praised the strength of the tiger and the elephant because of their superior energy and strength. The Asuras, or the demons, cannot recognize the existence of the Lord, although there are vivid descriptions of the Lord in the revealed scriptures. Although the Lord incarnates and exhibits his uncommon strength and energy, and although he is accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by learned scholars and saints like Vyasadeva, Narada, Sita, and Devala in the past, and by Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, as also by the Acharyas like Shankar, Ramanuja, Madhva, and Lord Sri Chaitanya in the modern age. The Asuras do not accept any evidential proof from the revealed scriptures, nor do they recognize the authority of the great Acharyas. So this is the nature of Asuras, or those who are demonic. They don't recognize the scriptures, or they blaspheme the Vedic literatures. So they want to see with their own eyes at once. You might have heard someone, show me God. Why should God reveal himself to a rude person like you? I demand God. Okay, well, I demand Donald Trump to come down here right now and talk to me. Okay. Now imagine someone who's controlling millions upon millions of universes. And that personality you're so entitled, yes, he should come right before you. Like this. It's crazy, these atheists. I was once like this, actually. It's just a complete entitled brat, That's actually our problem, and the atheist problem. Just there's some entitled brat, and they think, yes, I'm all powerful in my understanding the world. And I demand the most, let me speak to this so-called God. I will evaluate him with my great intellect. It's just such nonsense, actually. But anyhow, this is this is the mood, the inner arrogance of the atheists, of the Asuras. They want to see with their own eyes at once. Therefore, they can see the gigantic body of the Lord as Virat, which will answer their challenge. And since they are accustomed to paying homage to superior material strength like that of the tiger, elephant, and lightning, they can offer respect to the Virat Rupa. Lord Krishna, by the request of Arjuna, exhibited his Virat Rupa for the Asuras. So, the universal form is for the demonic. That's also why we have to start there, because that's our problem. In this world, we have demonic mentality. And the demonic mentality is, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the controller. And everything else, any other consideration, not so important. So, a pure devotee of the Lord, being unaccustomed to looking into such a mundane, gigantic form of the Lord, requires special vision for the purpose. The Lord therefore favored Arjuna with special vision for looking into his Virat Rupa, which is described in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This Virat Rupa of the Lord was especially manifested, not for the benefit of Arjuna, but for that unintelligent class of men who accept anyone and everyone as an incarnation of the Lord, and so mislead the general mass of people. For them, the indication is that one should ask the cheap incarnation to exhibit his Virat Rupa and thus be established as an incarnation. Actually, this is very relevant right now because we have a program in Rochester on July 10th. And so there's a couple of the leaders in Rochester, they reached out to us, but they're really worried because there is a group who keeps going to the programs, and the young kids who are running the program, they don't really understand some of the finer subtleties of devotion and things. So they just think, oh, this group is coming, they lead kirtan, they're very good. They're chanting the holy names. We know that's good. So they're just inviting. But the problem with this group is that they, one of their core philosophical tenets, they really don't care for the scriptures so much, not so heavily. But they accept the guru of the group, he actually is an incarnation of the Lord, like a direct incarnation of the Lord. And they worship him as such, put tulsi on his feet and things. But this personality he's a conditioned soul. He's a mortal, See, he should not be worshipped like God. But anyhow, so unfortunately though, unintelligent class of people, they'll accept anyone and everyone as an incarnation of the Lord. So we're going there, and so the leaders in the local community, they don't want to offend them, but they also know, because you can't just, it's a student group, and there's so many things, and we can't, they're trying to work delicately on how to manage this situation. So anyway, the best idea we have is we're going to have a big program on July 10th, and we're all going to go there. And some of the leaders will explain to them some of these things that Prabhupada is explaining. That, you can't just ask, So Prabhupada says, for them the indication is that one should ask the cheap incarnation to exhibit his Virat Rupa and thus be established as an incarnation. Meaning okay, you're going by God, people are worshipping you. I'm humbly requesting you, can you exhibit some potency of like God? Something, a little bit more than just saying, look into my eyes, I am God, here's the love of God, which is kind of the technique of the guru. But he has many followers, because there's many unintelligent men. I swear, you go to Vrindavan, every shop he's there. Every shop he's there, as there's Krishna on the wall, maybe Ganesh is somewhere nearby and Lakshmi is somewhere nearby, but then in Vrindavan there's this fellow, and it's like, oh my goodness. So anyway, and it's made its way, the main, actually you're going near there today.
Is that the Bhakti Marg group?
Yes, it's this group. It's not really Bhakti Marg, it's some other Marg, but they go by Bhakti Marg. So, but unfortunately the less intelligent class of men, they accept anyone and everyone. Even so, some scandals in the past, he's, I don't know, for whatever reason, he has some affinity towards men, to convince them to perform activities that are, licentious and things like that. And so anyway, these are not activities of an incarnation of the Lord, So it's one thing, if you're a debaucherous person and you want to do debaucherous activities, that's not fine, but go ahead. But if you're saying, yes, I'm the Lord and you're worshipping me, but let me engage you in these debaucherous activities, that's not fine. That's very offensive, and that's very, it's actually said to be the greatest sin, and then only the greatest atheists can do something like that, actually. But anyhow, the Virat Rupa manifestation of the Lord is simultaneously a challenge to the atheist and a favor to the asuras, who can think of the Lord as Virat, the universe, and thus gradually cleanse the dirty things from their hearts in order to become qualified to actually see the transcendental form of the Lord in the near future. So the Lord is, he expands, he shows his universal form as a challenge to the atheist. So the atheists, in their puffed upness, they say, oh yes, I don't believe in God, Actually, look at this, look at these potencies here, look at this, this, and this. How can you explain this, the vast amazingness, wonder of the cosmos and of nature, and all the perfect moving planetary systems, and the night and the day and the seasons, and all these things, how magnificent they all are all together. And it's also a favor for us, the Asuras, the demonic, who, not so focused on caring for God or the scriptures or what really should be done, but only care about our own selfish enjoyment. So by focusing on the Lord in this Virat form, we can actually gradually purify the heart of dirty things and become qualified to see the beautiful form of the Lord that's described, that is shown on our altars and captured within the hearts of our acharyas and so on. This is a favor of the all-merciful Lord to the atheists and the gross materialists. So we're all starting here, from this place. So this is the first thing that someone should do. So let's continue. Andakoshe shariresmin Saptavarana sangyute Vairaja purusho yoso Bhagavan dharanashrayaha. Synonyms. Andakoshe. within the universal shell, Sharire, in the body of, Asmin, this, Sapta, sevenfold, Avarana, coverings, Sangyute, having so done, Vairaja, the gigantic universal, Purushaha, form of the Lord, Yaha, that, Aso, he, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Dharana, conception, Ashraya, object of. The gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is the subject for the Virat conception. So the universe, this is like the pantheism, seeing God in nature, in the material nature around us. So, let's see what that, this is the subject matter here for understanding this form of God. So simultaneously, the Lord has multifarious other forms, and all of them are identical with the original fountainhead form of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it has been proven that the original transcendental and eternal form of the Lord is Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, but by his inconceivable internal potency, Atma Maya, he can expand himself by multifarious forms and incarnations simultaneously, without being diminished in his full potency. He is complete, and although innumerable complete forms emanate from him, he is still complete without any loss. That is his spiritual or internal potency. Like if there's a complete pizza and you start distributing pieces of the pizza, there'll be less in the pie. But the Lord is not like that. He is complete, and he distributes himself throughout his energies throughout the universe. He's still inexhaustibly complete. He's not lacking anything, So this is different, where we give, and actually, we have the option. The Lord's spiritual energy is like that as well. Like if I have wealth, and I say, well, I'll be very charitable. Parth, here's some wealth. Divyanshu, here's some wealth. Deepthi, here's some wealth. I'll have less wealth. So wealth is not complete. But bhakti is complete. If I have some bhakti, if I give bhakti to Parth, I give bhakti to Divyanshu, and I give bhakti to Deepthi, I'll have more bhakti, and you'll all have more bhakti. It's complete, actually. So this is the spiritual potency of the Lord. So the Lord has this ability where the more that he distributes himself, the more complete he is. So it's there's no loss, and there's only infinite gain. So that is a spiritual or internal potency. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, manifested his Virat Rupa just to convince the less intelligent class of men, who cannot conceive of the Lord as appearing just like a human being. That he factually has the potency of his claim to be the supreme absolute person without any rival or superior. Materialistic men can think, although very imperfectly, of the huge universal space comprehending an innumerable number of planets, as big as the sun. They can only see the circular sky overhead, without any information that this universe, as well as many other hundreds of thousands of universes, are each covered by sevenfold material coverings of water, fire, air, sky, ego, noumenon, and material nature. So like, what is noumenon? I think it's from the word phenomenon. But this noumenon is I think it's that which can be experienced. Noumenon. Meaning, let's see. It's a philosophical concept referring to a thing as it is in itself, independent of human perception. So the reality of a substance, independent of how we perceive it. Because we perceive reality and we put our perceptions as to what reality is, but that's not, doesn't mean that's the noumenon. And material nature. Just like a huge football, not this football. The World Cup is going on, this football. This was the Prabhupada is this type of football is what he's talking about. I don't know if American football caught. I don't know if he knew about that back then. So just like a huge football, pumped and covered, floating on the water of the causal ocean, wherein the Lord is lying as Mahavishnu. All the universes in seed are emanating from the breathing of the Mahavishnu, who is but part of a partial expansion of the Lord, and all the universes presided over by the Brahmas vanish when the Mahavishnu withdraws his great breath. In this way, the material worlds are being created and vanished by the supreme will of the Lord. The poor, foolish materialist can just imagine how ignorantly he puts forward an insignificant creature to become his rival incarnation, simply on the allegations of a dying man. So this is why this is such a problem when we're going to Rochester and we're all planning, because this, to consider yourself an incarnation of God, the implication is that yes, you're so amazing that you can, by just your breath, you are expanding millions upon millions of universes, all knowing everything, all, qualities. No living entity, an ordinary living entity, can live up to that. It's impossible. You can only put on a facade for so long. And so, that's why even when Krishna or even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, real genuine incarnations of the Lord, it gets exposed by those who interact with them. It can't be hidden. The personality is so great, it cannot be hidden long. But there's, unless there's some really astounding sort of miracles I'm missing right now, as far as I know, there's not a direct incarnation of the Lord wandering the planet, or at least in the public eye, so prominently. And, you'd think he would be even more attractive than, he's not a bad-looking fellow, but, but to have the beauty of God is astounding, to have such beauty. So anyhow, in this way, the material worlds are being created and vanished by the supreme will of the Lord. The poor, foolish materialist can just imagine how ignorantly he puts forward, to become his rival incarnation simply on the allegations of a dying man. So just because dying people are saying, yes, he's an incarnation of the Lord, does not at all mean he's an incarnation of the Lord. There will be some substance behind that. There will be some ability behind that incarnation to prove like they could display this Virat Rupa like Krishna did to Arjuna, or they can lift Govardhan Hill on their pinky. These are astounding things that the Lord can do, but not an ordinary person. The Virat Rupa was particularly exhibited by the Lord just to give lessons to such foolish men, so that one can accept a person as the incarnation of Godhead only if such a person is able to exhibit such a Virat Rupa as Lord Krishna did. The materialistic person may concentrate his mind upon the Virat or gigantic form of the Lord in his own interest and as recommended by Shukadeva Goswami. But he must be on his guard not to be misled by pretenders who claim to be the identical person as Lord Krishna, but are not able to act like him or exhibit the Virat Rupa, comprehending the whole of the universe. Okay. So we shouldn't very cheaply accept, even we shouldn't very cheaply accept that someone is a really high-class qualified guru. That's even a really high thing. And what's to speak of considering, this might be like, like in Vrindavan, all these shopkeepers keeping the photo of this so-called living incarnation of the Lord. It's like crazy. Like, wow, like practically all of them. It's like insane, actually. But what could be done? What?
It's common in India to
just accept random people as God. Yeah, it's it's just less intelligent thing. But there's so many people in India, so there's also so many less intelligent people in India as well. So there's so what can be done? So let's continue. Patalametasya hi padamulang Pathanti Parshni Prapade Rasatalam Mahatalang Vishwasrajotha Gulfo sorry Talatalang Vai Purushasya Janghe. Okay, Patalam, the planets at the bottom of the universe. Etasya, of his, he, exactly. Padamulam, soles of the feet. Pathanti, they study it. Parshni, the heels. Prapade, the toes. Rasatalam, the planets named Rasatala. Mahatalam, the planets named Mahatala. Vishwasharja, of the creator of the universe. Atha, thus. Gulfo, the ankles. Talatalam, the planets named Talatala. Vai, as they are. Purushasya, the gigantic person. Janghe, the shanks. Persons who have realized it have studied that the planets known as Patala constitute the bottoms of the feet of the universal Lord, and the heels and toes are the Rasatala planets. The ankles are the Mahatala planets, and his shanks constitute the Talatala planets. So purport. Outside the bodily existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the manifested cosmic existence has no reality. Everything and anything of the manifested world rests on him, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.4. But that does not imply that everything and anything in the vision of a materialist is the Supreme Personality. The conception of the universal form of the Lord gives a chance to the materialist to think of the Supreme Lord, but the materialist must know for certain that his visualization of the world in a spirit of lording over it is not God realization. So everything in reality is God, except our illusory perceptions of God. It's an energy of God also, but that is not God, actually. That is Maya. That's the illusion of what God is. What you think is God is not God. But what's actually there, the nomina, that's actually God. So this is very nice. Materialistic view of exploitation of the material resources is occasioned by the illusion of the external energy of the Lord. And as such, if anyone wants to realize the supreme truth by conceiving of the universal form of the Lord, he must cultivate the service attitude. So unless you realize that you are a servant of God, then you can't actually see the Lord in any reality. There's no proper way to actually see the Lord. So if you think that life is for your enjoyment and you just want to enjoy and control, then everything you see is illusion, because that's not what life is. But if you have the service attitude and you wish to be an instrument for the Lord, like part of the Gayatri mantras, the word prachodayat at the end of all the Gayatri mantras. Prachodayat, it means, please inspire me. And what is the inspiration? Even Dio is that please have the conception that I am your instrument. Please inspire me to be your instrument. This is, we should understand this. That until we understand the soul's position as Anu, one who follows the Lord, and which is implying service, then we'll never have a chance to actually see any reality. So this is the precondition, that you must have some service attitude and appreciation for God and desire to serve. So that must be there. So unless the service attitude is revived, the conception of Virat realization will have very little effect on the seer. So until you have this service attitude, this whole process that's being described here is, it's not so valuable. The Transcendental Lord in any conception of his form is never a part of the material creation. He keeps his identity as Supreme Spirit in all circumstances, and is never affected by the three material qualities, for everything material is contaminated. The Lord always exists by his internal energy. The universe is divided into 14 planetary systems. 7 planetary systems called Bur, Buvar, Swar, Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satya are upward planetary systems, one above the other. There are also 7 planetary systems downward, known as Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. So, gradually one below the other. In this verse, the description begins from the bottom because it is in the line of devotion that the Lord's bodily description should begin from his feet. Shukadeva Goswami is a recognized devotee of the Lord, and he is exactly correct in the description. So right now what's being described are the lower planetary systems, like the hellish worlds and things like this. And so if you want a description, the universe is said to be like a spherical egg. And right on the center plane, it's like a circle. And we're on that mandala. We're not on a... I know the NASA scientists, and there's a big great deception that we're on some like spinning sphere in space and things, but that's not the description in any ancient text at all. And actually it's even proven when you just say, okay, well, just show me a proper photo. There's so much evidence that there's so much CGI and things like this, and it's like proven over and over by people who understand these technologies that NASA is indeed using CGI in practically everything. And so this understanding of reality is wrong. Now we might not be able to, I can't snap you a photo and say, yes, I know exactly. But this, I can tell you the description of the Bhagavatam and the Vedas. And so that at the center is the Bhumandala, the middle earth planets from which we're on, and we're on some small portion, a little sphere with all the 7 continents surrounded by a wall of ice. We call that Antarctica. And then beyond that, there are many other places on this mandala. And then below them, and if you can imagine a sphere, the center of the sphere is the widest part of the sphere, and then the top of the sphere is less wide. So below them are progressively smaller mandalas that are like, if you imagine, like a tiered cake. There's one tier, the largest tier is in the center, where we are, the Bhumandala, and then below there are 7 progressively smaller mandalas where you get to the worst type of hell, where the most vile cretins of existence, they go to get punished, and so on. And that there's lower standards of life in each lower. And then there's higher standards of life, and at the top is the smallest mandala is Brahmaloka.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Hiranyasha and Hiranyakashipu were there. So were there in the lower planetary systems at that time?
Yes. And then they brought the Bhumandala up to... the Varaha avatar brought the Bhumandala up to where we are now. But yes, everything there were, lower planetary systems and higher ones too. I'm not exactly sure how it all worked and shaped, and there's different pastimes of how each one got to that position. Vaman pushed Bali Maharaj all the way through the mandalas down to the lower mandalas and things like this. But it's just giving a Vedic description. But if we see this egg, this shell of the universe is an actual incarnation of the Lord, we can see that the certain planetary systems are like the lowest ones of the soles of his feet, and so on. And that's what's being described in this verse. More question? No, you get it? I don't know if I get it either. It's very difficult to get all these things. So anyway, so that's what's being described. But we should understand the Vedic model. This one has no purport, so we can read this next one. The Vedic model is being put out, but also giving a personal understanding to the model. So, we can ourselves only really see the Bhumandala. That's what and we can perceive the higher, the skies and the different planets, the grahas. And that's why they have sciences like astrology, which study the movements of the grahas and the constellations, the nakshatras, and so on. But that's really all we can perceive from our perspective. But the seers who have put out the ancient model of how the universe is described, and which would be given in Vedic times, this is the description. Yes, but you'd have to accept that you're being lied to right now. But good news is you can actually, you can't prove that the universe looks like it's being described here. How can we prove? It's just beyond our capabilities. But you can prove there are some phenomena that you can prove that gives credibility to this, whereas that it's guaranteed NASA's lying to you. It's a guarantee. Practically they've been caught cheating in their videos and their CGI so many times, it's like thousands of times. I guarantee you the first moon landing where they have this crappy little 1950s, 60s video of the so-called moon landing, it's so fake, it's crazy actually. You can actually prove it. You can see the wires, and there's so many things. It's just you could see. And then also this model of the sphere, that we're given, and we live on the globe Earth, and everything is that we perceive is thank you, Adrian. These 7 good morning. These 7 continents and so on, and this is everything, and Antarctica is the final continent at the bottom. But actually what's interesting is there's very little that all of the countries in the world agree on, but they all agree you cannot go to Antarctica. They all agree. Don't you go. Everyone has agreed. It's bad, very bad here. But everything else, they never can find any agreement. But every country in the world has treaties and agreements, don't go to Antarctica. Why? Is because Antarctica is the lie that's holding the model together, actually. So anyhow, if you find out what's beyond Antarctica, you can actually perceive, you can perceive on a greater level this Vedic model. But right now we have our 7 continents, and we have our what we're allowed to see. If you imagine, we're all like farmed animals in this world, And if you farm animals, certain animals in the fencing, they're never allowed to see beyond the fencing, unless you give them special permission, like a horse or something. But otherwise, the animals, they're not to see everything. So this is like us in this world. The leaders who are running things, they've said, you can't go past here. Everyone, we can't, we're fighting with this country about this, we're fighting with this country about this, but what we all agree on is don't go to Antarctica. It's very bad. It's very cold there. You'll die. And I'm not saying there's not ice down there, because there is clearly, they've shown. But yeah, there's something much more too. There's also been a few accounts of Navy pilots and things who've gone past certain walls of ice, and they've experienced, actually there's more advanced beings beyond the confines that we're on right now in this world. We're in like a certain set of confines, but there's more advanced humanoid beings beyond that. So that's actually described in the Bhagavatam. It's also described in certain accounts, military accounts and things. I used to be into this stuff, conspiracies and all this stuff. Now it's not worth my time, because it's already actually all given in the Vedas. But before that, before I had the Vedic... What? Yeah, I mean, Prabhupada, about the Vedas, Prabhupada said, actually, you can investigate all of it and it'll be proven true. I mean, that's why that's why I ended up accepting the Vedas, because actually everything the Vedas say, so much of what I saw said in the Vedas was proven true, even if modern science was not saying it's true, but you're able to see it through different circumstances. It's proven true. But he said, but it would take so much time to investigate and use the scientific method to prove every single thing in the Vedas that you'll waste many lifetimes doing that. So better just, once it's confirmed that this is true and this is an authoritative source, you should just accept. So that's what we do now. We just accept. But in the beginning, you might need to have some yukti or some reasoning to prove the effectiveness and truth of the Vedas. And actually, that can be had. That's what actually the first class Prem Prayojan gave at the Newberg retreat, and then even the first some of the classes he gave on the links in science and spirituality and philosophy last year when he spoke in Auburn. It goes into all of these things, how we can actually perceive some of the truths that the Vedas are promoting. So anyway, we'll end here. But just so you know, we're going to get presented a different model of reality. And what you'd have to accept is that the model that you've been given is wrong. And actually, we can prove it to you if you'd like. You know, if you really want to go through to the all of the CGI and all these things, there's a bunch of flat earth societies. I'm not saying that these are authorized people or anything like that. But there's a bunch of people who are so expert in criticizing the current model that's given by the so-called scientists, and that actually they've actually been able to effectively at least deduce that they're lying to us. And they're right, they are lying to us. Whatever conceptual model they're coming up with, I'm not saying that that's authorized, because how are they going to speculate the real model? But we, understanding the glories of the Vedas, we can accept what the Vedas are putting out. Actually, we don't have to do all kinds of guesswork and exploration of the universe. And we could try if you want to spend your time. Some people interested, like there was some. Actually, it just happened. There was some young Argentinian podcaster. He went outside Antarctica, and he was trying to track some of there's really advanced movement of what are you called UFOs, unidentified machinery that are moving down there. Because the more advanced beings, actually, they have access beyond these walls and things. So anyway, he was tracking it recently, and he was sharing with podcasters. But anyway, he ended up dying very young and unexpectedly. Probably because he was meddling into something that all the leaders in the world have agreed you don't meddle there. So anyway, who knows, I might get in trouble for it. On the interwebs, I'm sharing this information.
Prabhupada said if they knew what I was teaching, they'd kill me.
Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, I don't want to get into that either. But Hare Krishna. So, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Samaveda Bhaktivinoda.